Welcome, welcome, friends. So happy you're here. Thank you for coming. I'm going to now start with sharing my screen. I've hit the record this time. And now I'm going to share my screen. Is everyone seeing the screen? Yes, beautiful. Beautiful. Now let's see. Here we are. 5 keys to self-actualization. How to get from strain to stream is what we're going to talk about today. Thank you for coming. This workshop is for you because I know you're strivers for excellence. And we're going to talk about getting from strain to stream because we do strain being strivers. We might be relating to being high achievers, growth enthusiasts, continuous learners, conscious learners as well, and experimenters, seekers, practitioners, pathfinders, Renaissance individuals. Which ones of these do you relate to most? Adaptive thinkers, polymaths, change agents, productivity pros, work martyrs. I relate to every one of these and more. And these are fantastic characters and beautiful people that we are. And on the flip side, we are pressuring ourselves to meet high standards and sometimes impossible standards, equating self-worth and identity with achievements. Like, what are we thinking with that, right? Difficulty relaxing, even in leisure time, neglecting our own physical health needs, exercise, sleep, nutrition, worrying about performance and what others think, overwhelmed with responsibilities, reluctance about seeking support. Sorry about this one. Yes, we're not, reluctance about seeking support and help, thinking we ought to be able to handle it all by ourselves. Anybody relate to that one? And fear of making mistakes? Yeah. So we're going to talk about 5 keys to self-actualization to begin. Today's lineup is the first. We're going to talk about 5 keys to self-actualization, which is a blueprint. It's a map for considering our personal phenomena and our development, personal development within the context of deep transformation. It's great to have option, strategy, action, so based solutions. Yet, and these are good for many times in our lives. There are many times and places where we need options, strategy, and action sort of solutions. And yet there comes a time when deeper transformations that bring effective and lasting results that are congruent with our unique dispositions and systems are necessary. And this kind of transformation on the beingness level that are practical and precise and elegant and respectful, cohesive, and which also don't create havoc in the system, are a rare find in the marketplace, to say the least. They are a very, very rare find. So my goal today is to connect you with the essence of such an approach, so that moving forward, you can make informed choices and go deeper when you choose, if and when you choose to go deeper. So we're going to cover these 5 keys, and then we're going to have a demonstration of guided core transformation. I'll do this with Marta, and we will also have a chance to do for everyone after. After the demonstration, we're going to touch upon stages of transformation. So this is a pretty advanced format created by Connirae Andreas, who is also the developer of core transformation. And it's very useful. I'm presenting it because it's very useful for locating and positioning ourselves within the larger context. It's like what Mark Andreas said during our interview during the Play Mind series. he was giving this example of you want to go to Hawaii, let's say, and you're so excited, you go online and you pick the first link that comes up and buy your ticket to Hawaii, and it turns out the plane is not leaving from where you are. That's why it's so important to know where we are and where we're starting. So the stages of transformation will give us context for determining this. And after I'm going to guide you just to put your feet a little bit, dip your feet a little bit in the core transformation. So I'll guide the whole group so we can all have a little taste. And then we'll do Q&A. I will also have a gift for you with which you will be able to take this further and do a self-guiding process on your own moving forward. So now I will introduce you a bit about me. Although I've worked with many mediums, many diverse mediums, my work has always been about transformation. I will be sharing with you some of my work, and my first career was as a costume designer, which I did for 13 years. And I was working on the outer levels of transformation with self-concept and self-image and expression during this time. And when I was 10 years old, I was deconstructing my costumes, my clothes, to find out how they were made. And by 13, I was already selling some of the things that I was making to adorn the human form. And at 21, I was a celebrated designer with my own award-winning brand and making my work showing on covers of magazines and on television regularly. And I showed in textile fairs and with theatrical fashion shows. and I also wrote articles and essays and published my writings and illustrations in magazines, art magazines and fashion magazines. And some of my collections were sponsored by and showcased at art galleries. And during this time, I was showing in art fair, textile fairs, and during this time, there was I started feeling a discrepancy with the politics going on in my country and in Europe in general. And also there was a big change happening with the textiles industry. So I decided to close shop and move to New York City, which I did. And I went back to school, studied acting. I was very fortunate to study with extraordinary teachers, such as the revolutionary Japanese director Tadashi Suzuki and Bogart, David Mamet, and William H. Macy. And I got to play main characters in plays by Samuel Beckett, which is with whom I'm in love with to this day, and performed on New York City stages my own writings in venues such as the Moth, and I performed with theater troupes creating original plays and performed in experimental writers, playwrights such as Italo Calvino and Diana Raznovich. And I continued to write and publish my writings at this time, mostly on art and theater and spirituality. And I met my first spiritual teacher at this time and got fully immersed in esoteric studies and practices. And I continued to be quite insanely prolific. I curated over 100 art shows in art exhibitions in New York City and in US, in Spain, Germany, Turkey, Italy, and Austria. And I also produced curatorial projects for international art fairs such as Miami Art Basel and Venice Biennale, China Gallery Exposition, and European Outsider Art Fair, and such. We received fantastic reviews for almost every art exhibition that we did, some of which are the blending genres alone forms an exploration into the space where all sorts of threads of life merge into a united fabric of experience and relationships. My Funny Valentine, the show they're particularly covering on this review, takes the viewer's mind on an otherworldly voyage that plunges the depths of the subconscious and the heights of our dreams of love lost, found, and the space in between. So with theater, I started working in the inner aspects of transformation. And with my curating also, it was always about transformation, and it was always about, you know, plunging the depths of the subconscious and the heights of our dreams of love lost, found, and space in between. So this is one of the reviews that I enjoy very much. And the choices curator Chereniego made in the White Show were impressive, most notably for their cohesion, their absence of pop and shock value, and the stark grace of what can be defined as confidence. So the absence of pop and shock value is another value that I have the thread throughout my work to this day. And they've said I'm not a timid creature. Yes, and her passionate ideas lend color to a room, spark energy into a conversation, and juxtapose artists in almost adventurous ways. I do hope to spark some energy into this conversation today. I represented thousands of artists, among whom were some very illustrious ones, such as Bob Dylan and Yoko Ono and Patti Smith, Carl Andre and Sol LeWitt. And at this point in time, I had been studying with my first spiritual teacher for 9-10 years. And when he announced that he was going to stop teaching me at that point, I experienced a full collapse. I didn't collapse right there in front of him, but I did have a full collapse in the following few weeks, slowly and surely. And until I was completely bedridden, I had from the top of my head all the way down to the bottom of my feet, I had an electric current running. I was in excruciating pain, back pain. The whole of my back was completely out. And I went from doctor to doctor, procedure to procedure, and nobody was finding a solution. Nobody was even finding a problem. And after 3.5 years of this, my neurologist at the time suggested that I should have a major back surgery because the highest volume painkillers were not working. Nothing was working. So we scheduled a back surgery. And 1 month prior to the surgery, I came to my teacher's teacher to a Buddhist hermitage that my teacher's teacher had founded for a retreat. And this is a picture of me arriving at this retreat. Of course, this picture is actually Marcel Duchamp, the conceptual artist with his dysfunctional bike. But I thought it was a really good symbol of what was going on with me when I arrived at this retreat, completely dysfunctional. And within the first week of the retreat, my teacher gave me a book of Dr. Sarno, which we also talked about in my interview with Howard Schubinar, who worked with Dr. Sarno himself. And so that day I had a complete realization that my back issue was actually just my grief over losing my teacher. It was so obvious. It was right in front of my nose, but I didn't want to see it. It was more painful for me to see than the back pain itself. So, but then during this retreat, you know, my back pain disappeared and never came back. This was 12 years ago. And I never had the back surgery. And I never left the Buddhist hermitage. I've been studying there with my teacher to this day. And how is this related to us is that, you see, this was 12 years ago, and then a few years back from now, I found core transformation because I was going through another period again, and I was looking for something to bridge the gap between my spiritual life and my day-to-day existence. And I found core transformation because there was, there's the immature aspects. I realized the responsibility that I had to show up with having already taken care of my immature aspects, which core transformation did for me. Because the spiritual path, it was easy for years to bypass this, which is very common phenomena for meditators, as many of you, I'm sure you also might know. So now we get into this training. Now you have a little background from me. So I want to introduce three premises that is encompassing for this whole rest of this presentation. The three premises. The first premise is a Padmasambhava quote: "The sole remedy for being suffering is bliss." So Padmasambhava was the second Buddha in the 8th century. He was an Indian sage who brought the highest Buddhist teachings to Tibet. And I want to read this one more time. The sole remedy for being suffering is bliss. So it sounds a bit counterintuitive, right? Because if I'm suffering and maybe I'm in excruciating pain, like really suffering, where is bliss? Bliss is not in the picture if I'm really suffering, right? Yet he's saying that it is the sole remedy. So the only thing that's going to change my suffering is bliss. So we're going to delve into this, how this works. The second premise of everything that we're going to talk about during this training today is the distinction between change and transformation. So change and transformation is like a continuum. It could be thought of as a continuum. So, but they are directed to completely opposite sides, although so they're not contradictory, but they are moving to totally different directions. So all transformation is change, but not all change is transformation, because with change, a person will uncover what they need to and move forward in meaningful ways based on their existing way of being. So I can make just the way that I am, I can weigh my options, and I can develop strategies, and I can take action. And this will create change. This will come to change. However, that doesn't transform my being. Transformation is when an expanded or shifted way of being and the higher order perceptions and energies therein is needed to uncover what is actually needed. So sometimes we're making change with the conscious mind, and we develop these strategies, make a goal, get there, we get what we want, yet it's still, it ends up that, oh, well, it wasn't what I really wanted, because it didn't change how I am, it didn't change how I feel, maybe, sometimes, and other times it's completely useful and necessary. So when we change the way of our being, however, when we transform our being, then the solutions that come from the whole are congruent, and action comes from there. That's a different thing than change. That's the distinction. So what Padmasambhava was saying here is there is this problem situation, right? The problem states, self-doubt. Who can't relate to self-doubt, right? Is there anyone that is human that cannot relate to self-doubt. I think it comes with the territory of being human, to have self-doubt. And then fear of failure or fear of success, hypervigilance, procrastination, relationship issues, health issues, you name it. So this problem states and the problem situations can be changed through option, strategy, action, solution. And however, it doesn't cause that doesn't cause the transformation necessarily. What causes the transformation is the original states, is the original situation, the natural states, which are spaciousness, love, wonder, bliss, right? Wholeness, oneness. These are the natural states. So when we get to this state itself is what transforms the person. The person cannot make that transformation happen. The person is in the problem situation, right? So we need a way to get us from this procrastination, let's say, through this procrastination. We need to get in that procrastination, not putting solutions on top of it, but getting in there and go to wherever it goes to. And it's very individual and unique for each person. It can end up in love or wonder, bliss, presence, one of these beautiful states. And one of these beautiful states, no matter what the name might be, is it's encapsulated within this problem state. So we need a process to get us from here to here. And when we get here in a fully embodied, lived experience, not just a cognitive understanding of what is bliss or love, but actually living that, even just a tiny moment makes the transformation, to actually be in that. So then that transforms the problem state. So these are the premises that the rest of this training will be based upon. Now I have a question for you. Would you agree that developing a strong presence within through highly pleasurable transformations and expanding our capacity to respond to any circumstance with peacefulness, joy, compassion, beats constantly struggling to improve our circumstances? What do you think? Please tell me in the chat. What do you think? I think it's a hell yes. It beats struggling to improve our circumstances any day and every day. It's a hell yes. What do you think? What do you think? Yeah, because we can't control circumstances. Ultimately, they're going to be what they're going to be, but we can control our states of being, which is which is a really fantastic news, because we have a way of getting through the problem situation to the original state. So that's the good news. And as we keep transforming, we're reclaiming the resource that was previously encapsulated in that problem situation and increasing our capacity to respond appropriately, whatever the situation. I see there's some chat here. Let me see what you guys. I heard yes, 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 hell yes. It is better. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. So we get to the 5 keys to self-actualization. The first key is paradox. We can call it play mind if you like. I like to. Paradox. Let me see if I can do this so I can see better. Yes. So paradox is from Latin. Para meaning distinct from, and dox is our opinion. So it means what is distinct from our opinion. And paradox creates a crisis in thought, short-circuiting. When we are faced with paradox, which is in the heart of everything, when we are faced with it, it creates a short-circuiting in thought, and it packs a surprise that can be accommodated by nothing less than a renunciation of part of our conceptual heritage, which is our conditioning. So it short circuits our conditioning. It's a beautiful heart space. Whether or not something is paradoxical to an individual depends on the accuracy of their expectations. This beautiful quote by Willard Van Quinn that I love. And So this means that asking the questions that contain the answer in the asking of it, like, what do I know? How do I know? Right? So it's less about the progress to an end and more about the process of inquiry and self-understanding, exploration, expression, and connection with oneself and with others and with the world at large. So common sense applies to that which we can access. One man's paradox is another man's common sense, sometimes give or take a couple of 100 years, right? And as Finlay Norbu Rinpoche says it so eloquently, that one person's play is another person's seriousness, and one person's seriousness is another person's play. So our capacity, the key here, is that our capacity to hold seeming contradictions with ease, if possible, directly correlates to holding higher sensations in our bodies with increasing resilience. So we might not be needing to hold higher sensations in our day-to-day life so much. However, we come to the place where we need to be able to, because and also this creates a more dynamic, like instead of a static being, we are really more of a becoming all the time. So the more paradox we can withhold, more seeming contradictions we can hold in our heart, in our bodies, higher sensations in our bodies, the more of a becoming we are. We are constantly becoming. We're very dynamic, not so static. We're not really even a being, right? So that's the first key. Only wonder comprehends anything. Saint Gregory of Nyssa. Now I have a question for you. If you placed your attention on not knowing and staying curious just a little longer each time, instead of grasping for answers, would it make a difference in your experience and the progress you make from here? What do you think? Tell me, please, in the chat. I think it makes the big difference. I find it in my experience to be able to do this more and more so. It's fantastic. It makes a wholly different experience. Yes. Absolutely. Thank you. Yes. Yes, absolutely. It does. So we come to the second key, parts. The wolf must be satisfied and the sheep safe. Gurdjieff quote. So we refer to parts in our everyday language all the time. Like a part of me wants to eat that chocolate cake and another part of me wants to lose weight. Or a part of me wants to go to the party and another part of me wants to stay in so I can get my sleep. Right? So we often have this experience of not being fully congruent when faced with a certain choice or maybe within a certain context. Part of me wants to do this one thing and another part of me wants to do this other thing. And often we consciously know that there's something we want to change, yet that conscious understanding hasn't been able to change it. We're all familiar with how, maybe we can say, I don't want to smoke anymore, or I don't want to work so hard anymore. And, whatever it might be something else. But soon enough, and sure enough, there I am doing it again. Yeah. So anytime we have this experience where consciously we want to change something, yet something else is happening, we know that we need to work with the unconscious. And we need practical, powerful processes to actually work with the unconscious. Which brings us to the next key. The unconscious mind. There is no linear evolution. There's only circumambulation of the self. Uniform development exists at most, only at the beginning. Later, everything points towards the center. Carl Jung. So our conscious mind is really good at solving some problems, certain problems, but actually most of our experience happens it happens outside of our conscious, and this is a really good thing, because if we had to do everything consciously, we wouldn't last very long, probably, right? Because if I have to consciously make sure my heart is beating, lungs are breathing, the digestive system is doing its job, and just this physiological stuff alone would be much more than our conscious mind would be able to handle. It wouldn't be capable of doing it. So I don't think any of us would last an hour, really, if we had to consciously do everything to stay alive. I'm so glad we don't have to try it. So it's great that most of our experiences happening unconsciously and effortlessly. Yet when something that we have trouble with, in our experience, something that's causing trouble or is challenging is happening so unconsciously, it's very frustrating, because we can't just automatically change it. It's happening so automatically, and we can't just change it. So anytime we have an experience of something, wanting to change something consciously, and yet that's not enough to change it, we know we have to work with the unconscious mind. And again, we need a process that's able to access and process that unconscious happening, which brings us to the next key, which is positive intent. This is a presupposition from neurolinguistic programming that every feeling, thought, or behavior is motivated by a positive intent. And Buddha taught this much longer, saying that all beings want happiness, but are confused as to what brings it about. So we may not know what it is, that the positive intent, and sometimes it's hard to see if I'm being, let's say, if I want to lose weight, and this part of me wants sweets all the time, and I end up eating sweets that I can't even control. It doesn't sound very positive, right? It's maybe I don't really even like this part, because that's what's happening. However, when we go into it, we find that there is a positive intent in there. It doesn't mean that it's able to get that intent, because it has all this dysfunctional strategy going on about how to get it. However, we know we can always assume whatever feeling, thought, or behavior is happening for us or anyone else, there is a positive intent that's motivating it. And you might have, objections, thinking, what about people who murder people, right? What's the positive intent in that? Well, we don't know. However, we can, I would invite you to consider this, that when we go, you can find out for yourself, even in the most extreme cases, when we go deep in within that issue with the behavior and feeling and thought, there's always a positive intent there. And it doesn't mean, again, that it's getting what it's wanting, but it is wanting something positive. It's just the ways that it's learned how to go about it is not functioning well. And more often than not, almost always, these strategies are developed at very young ages. So they didn't have the part at such a young age, and it had a very good reason to split and to have this strategy, but it didn't have a very complex way of developing strategy, so it's not working anymore. So that's positive intent. Always there, and we can find it. And not only is there a positive intent, but there are even deeper purposes within that are wanted. We can do what we wish, but we can only wish what we must. Schopenhauer quote. Yes, I love that quote. I see that there's a chat here. I'm not always seeing the chat, both of this. Yes. Yes, awesome sauce. Thank you. Yes. So not only is there a positive intent, there is an even deeper purpose that are wanted within those feelings and behaviors, no matter how seemingly not positive they might look. So that's a key distinction of the core transformation process that many other processes don't even realize is there. It makes it possible for us to access the deepest yearnings. And so the coping mechanisms that are confused attempts at getting what it wants just fall away. And the part gets to directly experience its deepest purposes, not only its positive intent, but its deepest yearnings. And over time, as we continue to transform, we get increasingly in alignment with even deeper, bigger picture purposes that are beyond the self. Now, self-actualization cannot be attained if it is made an end in itself, but only as a side effect of self-transcendence. Viktor Frankl quote. Yes, and this is because self-actualization doesn't need to be attained. Self-actualization already is. It's a natural state. So when we uncover and peel off all the confused attempts and strategies that we've piled up on top of that, what we need to be concerned with is how to open these layers and layers of unnecessary things. And then we find self-actualization there. It's always already there. So we don't need to worry about that. We need to think of what's in the way and how can we take that off the way so it can actualize itself. Right. So I want to give you a client example of how this is a good example of how it works. So one of my clients came into a session one day, and when I asked him what he would like to work on and what he would like to change, what feeling, behavior, or thought he would like to change, he said he would like to change procrastination and perfectionism that he was experiencing. So I asked him when and where and how this comes up for him, and he said that it came up whenever it was time for him to create content for his business. And he said that he had these feelings of not being good enough and just sitting and staring and then saying, forget about this, sometimes hours later, and not getting it done. So when I asked him where this was in his experience, in his body or around his body, where he was experiencing this, and he said it was in his stomach and throat and head. So we were ready to go in and find out. And when we established access with this part that was generating the procrastination and perfectionism, and we thanked the part for being there, because although it was generating procrastination and perfectionism, we know that it has a positive purpose. So we want to find what that is, because when we do, it doesn't only take care of the problem, but it creates a resource. So it doesn't just make procrastination neutral, so the procrastination goes away. Oh, that's good, that's great. But more than that, we find what's the gift in there, so that's an additional big resource for him. So when we thank the part and ask the part what it wants, what do you want? And he said that the response he got from the part was for people to like me and think highly of me. So we thanked the part and we invited the part to step into the experience of already having this, that people like me and think highly of me. And when the part, this unconscious part, was able to step in and experience fully what it was like to have people like me and think highly of me, we asked, so what do you want through having this? And the response from the part was feeling safe and in the flow. So we thanked the part and invited the part to step in to feeling safe fully, just in the imagination for the purposes of our process. Because in real life, so-called real life, we can't really have people like me and think highly of me all the time, right? Some people will like me and some people will not like me. So if my feeling safe depends on this, that's a tricky situation. It's not very functional. However, this part had this idea somehow that if it got the people to like me, then he could feel safe. And so when we proceeded forward with this, so when it feels safe, what does it want through feeling safe? The response was protect me. And when it got to protect me as an experience, in right there, through being protected, it wanted to be relaxed. And through being relaxed, we thank the part each time. And we invite the part to step into it. And when it does, we ask, so what do you want through being relaxed? That's even deeper or more important. And the part's response was peace and fun. And as we went further through peace and fun, it wanted playfulness. And when we asked it to step in, experience, and what it wanted through playfulness, it said nothing. That's it. It just wanted playfulness. So you can see here, this part wants playfulness because it had playfulness, because we can't really want something we never had. We don't even know what it is to want it, right? So it had playfulness and then it lost access. And I'm sure, for sure, there's a good reason why and how this happened, whatever it is. But it lost the access, it got split. So then it had the idea to have this playfulness again. If I have people to like me and think highly of me, then I can feel safe. And if I can feel safe, then I'm protected. And if I'm protected, then I can relax. Goodness gracious, right? And if I am relaxed, then I can have a bit of peace and fun. And if I can have a bit of peace and fun, then I can have playfulness. So since this is not working very well, because, how can we get all this to get there? And then it's generating procrastination and perfectionism. So this is a good example of how this process works in its initial stage. This is just the initial steps. And then we go much further than that to actually make the transformation happen through playfulness. What makes the transformation is playfulness. It's not itself. To access playfulness fully and completely changes everything, right? So now I'm going to demonstrate this initial steps of this process with Marta for you. And before we do, I want to let you know, so you have in the back of your mind, that in profoundly deep transformational methods, such as core transformation and wholeness work, even in the early stages when we might not be getting to the core states, this oneness, wholeness, this natural states that we already have, even we're not getting to the core states, we become increasingly aware of the significant transformations that are happening in the unconscious structuring itself. The structuring itself is loosening and opening. And such as, going beyond not knowing that there's a solution and becoming aware that there's something to be changed on the identity level. And including it, recognizing, including it. And so there are lots of pieces of progress that happen even in the earliest phases of core transformation itself that are very valuable and can be life-changing just with that, even if we don't get to the core state. So during our demonstration, I would invite you not to necessarily do the process for yourself, but just observing and let it wash over you. And then at the end, I'm going to walk the same steps for you also, so that you can try it for yourself. So I'm going to now, let's see, stop share. And I did. Hi, Marta. Thank you so much for doing this with me. Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Everyone. Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, Marta. Yes, I hear you. Does everyone hearing Marta?
It's nice
Awesome.
to be here.
Awesome.
I'm gonna try to spotlight it.
So, Marta,
Okay, I'm ready.
You ready? You have something you would like to work with? What feeling, thought, or behavior you want
Um,
to change, you know?
Yeah, so
Okay, what feeling, thought, or behavior?
I would like to work with my reactivity with my kids.
Reactivity.
I had particularly eventful morning, how kids can really take
Okay.
us
Mm-hmm.
out of the comfort zone. And I feel very triggered or frustrated when my 6-year-old ignores me on purpose. She just like doesn't reply, or just she knows it's triggering me, so she's just doing for fun probably. But um, and I think it's more my learned behavior from childhood, maybe the way I think about how kids should behave versus my natural responses. But it's definitely getting to me. So I would like to work on
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, so I'm hearing that you are reacting in a way that you are not happy with your kids. And can I have just a little bit? What is the reaction that you are wanting to change?
Frustration probably, and
Frustration.
being triggered by it because
Yeah.
I kind of behave on a 6-year-old level, getting into power struggle. But yeah, I would like to change that.
Okay, great. Frustration and being triggered. That will be great for us. And you already told me when and where and with whom. It comes up when you're with your 6-year-old. So we're ready to go in. Check in, please. Take a moment to relax and take a couple of breaths. And yeah, turning inward, just relaxing. And see where in your body or around your body you have this experience of frustration and being triggered. Where is this experience happening in your body?
It's like in my chest, probably.
Yes. Beautiful. Yeah. So first, let's please thank this part for showing up, for being there, and for showing up to communicate with us. Thank this part. Not for the frustration and the triggering that it's generating, but for being there, because we know it has a positive purpose. It wants something positive. So go ahead and thank the part, please. Then ask the part, what do you want? And just relax and notice what response comes back from this part in your chest.
Respect.
Respect. Yes. Thank this part for its response. And invite the part to step and breathe into what it's like to already have respect. Fully and completely. Just the way it wants. Yes, beautiful. And then ask the part, when you already have respect, what do you want through having respect that's even deeper or more important?
It's like to matter, acknowledgement.
To matter, acknowledgement. Thank this part for its response. And invite the part to step and breathe into what it's like to already have to matter, acknowledgement, fully and completely. Yeah. And allow the part to really enjoy this acknowledgement. Yeah, and you can give me a nod when this part is ready to move to the next step. You can give it time, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then ask this part, when you already have to matter, acknowledgement, what do you want through having acknowledgement. That's even deeper and more important.
It's like feel my value or self-value. Probably
Which one does the part
self-value.
like better? Self-value?
Yeah.
Yes?
Mhm.
Beautiful. Thank this part for its response. And invite the part to step and breathe into what it's like to already have self-value, fully and completely, just the way it wants. Yeah, allow the part to enjoy.
Mhm.
Mm. And ask the part, when you already have self-value, what do you want through having self-value that's even deeper and more important?
Mm. Like freedom,
Freedom.
something like. Mhm.
Thank this part for its response. And invite the part to step and breathe into what it's like to already have freedom, fully and
Hey,
completely.
honey. You have a can of foam to use for this raffle thing? Okay, well, I just wondered when you might do that because I'm gonna go over and water Graham next.
Mm. I think
Yes,
somebody on mute.
yes, I think it's okay now. Yes,
Mhm.
sorry about that, Martha.
No, that's okay.
Yeah. Mhm. So thank this part, and we invited the part to step into what it's like to already have freedom. Yeah, fully and completely, just the way it wants. Yeah.
Mhm.
And as this part of experiencing what it's like to already have freedom, ask the part, when you already have freedom, what do you want through having freedom? That's even deeper, more important.
Just like just to be, just beingness,
To be,
maybe.
beingness.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, thank this part for its response. And invite the part, step, and breathe into what it's like to already have beingness, fully and completely, just the way it wants.
Mhm.
Yeah, allow this part to bask in this beingness even more fully.
Mhm.
Yeah, and ask the part, when you already have beingness, is there anything even deeper you want through having beingness?
No, I don't think so. I just like a sense of just, I don't know, be here and that's it. I think that's the deepest one.
Beautiful. Let's just double check to make sure. Ask the part, when you already have beingness, is there anything even deeper that you want through having beingness?
No, it feels complete.
Beautiful. Thank this part. Yeah. Inner parts are somehow getting the idea that in order to experience core states such as beingness, we have to first do certain things and get certain things. And unfortunately, this doesn't work very well. We don't get to experience our core states very often when we go about it that way. So please remind this part that the way to experience a core state is just to step into it and have it. So invite this part to step into beingness now, even more fully. And ask this part to notice, when you already have beingness, how does already having beingness allow things to be different?
So many things just don't really matter. It's just much easier and enjoyable.
And ask the part, when you already have beingness, how does already having beingness radiate through, transform, or enrich freedom?
It's kind of its essence of it.
And ask the part, when you already have beingness as a way of being, how does this radiate through, transform, or enrich self-value?
Yeah, it's there. It's not even that relevant in those terms.
Beautiful. And ask the part, how does already having beingness as a way of being in an ongoing way radiate through, transform, or enrich to matter and acknowledgement?
It comes from within, not from outside. It's it
And
feels
ask the
totally
part.
different.
Sorry, yes, yes, beautiful. And ask the part, how does already having beingness as a way of being in an ongoing way radiate through, transform, or enrich respect?
Yeah, it's kind of it seems humorous now.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not relevant.
Yeah. And ask the part, how does already having beingness as a way of being radiate through, transform, or enrich your experience in the situation you started with, where you were having this frustration as a reaction to your 6-year-old?
It's it also seems funny now, but it feels like I have a choice. I can choose my reactions. It's not the only choice I have. And it seems like not a very valuable choice at the moment.
Beautiful. Yeah. Now that this part is filled, ask also how this beingness transforms and enriches other situations in which you used to feel frustration.
Yeah, it makes it so much lighter in many other situations.
So now that this part is filled with beingness as a way of being, you can invite this part to move in and through future situations. Yeah. And noticing how beingness, naturally being there, allows things to be different. Yeah. And you can notice even more fully now how having this beingness, what new behaviors and responses are naturally available to you as expressions of beingness. Yes. Beautiful. Yes, Martha. Thank you. So take your time, and when you are ready, you can open
Thank
your
you.
eyes to this beingness. Yes. And maybe another time we
It's
can go further with this. next time.
Yeah.
Yeah, how was your experience?
Well, it seems very humorous now to think about it. But it's no, always kind of very take it to the deeply how I can change my reactions and I kind of in control of my choices. And it's truly not about what other people are doing, even little ones.
Even
I
little
can
ones,
kind
but
of
that's a good tester
even little
too,
ones.
right? Yeah, definitely. If we can work it with the little ones, wow, they can
Yeah,
be
it's
tough,
just
huh?
like this space
Yeah.
of all this new different reactions and how I can see it. I can see it with this compassion and understanding and just support.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I
Thank
really needed
you.
it.
Thank you. I'm sure you were
The
compassionate
second
even
part of
with
the
your
day would be much
frustration.
better for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Marta. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, friends, now I'm going to share screen again, and please let us know of anything, any questions, anything that we can pick up later in the Q&A. Yeah, you can put it in the chat and we can talk about all kinds of things that you would like to talk about in the Q&A. I want to now walk you through the rest because this is also very beautiful content. Like I said, created by Connirae Andreas as a more advanced format. And it is very useful to locate where we are in the general sense. And so we can know what actions to take and what kind of path to move on. So just like there are stages of development in the physical stages, like we're babies and then we can sit up and then we can no before we sit up actually we need to be able to turn around, right? And then we can sit up and then we can sit up and hold on to things, and there's all these stages of development in physically, and it is just the same consciously as well. There are stages of development for consciousness just as well. So when we understand where we are in the process, we can notice the progress and the shift that might be appropriate for us at any given time in place. So this is the stages of transformation that I want to get into just a little bit. So the first one is directionalizing the unconscious. When we're experiencing problems in life, more often than not, the unconscious is directionalized in a negative direction automatically, thinking of worst possible outcomes, right? Like I have this results of this test from my doctor, and now I have this picture of how everything's going to fall apart, right? So the first phase of shift might be to shift the unconscious in the pattern in a positive direction, so that when things come up, the automatic response that I have is a positive one of regaining health and getting better. This is also just as much a possibility, even in the least thought of conditions. And then at a later stage, well-being independent of outer circumstances is how we experience it. Beyond having a positive direction, it's the capacity to just be with life as it is. We don't need everything to be fixed the way that we would like it to be fixed to feel and live well-being. We can have this no matter what the circumstances. And chances are the circumstances heal much faster and things move flow better in this scenario as well. So the second stage is external to internal. So the first stage is I have such a big problem that it's going to take some power external to me that's stronger than me to be able to take care of this, right? If I'm sick, I need pills, I need medication, I need doctors to tell me how to get well and all of this. So I'm putting the power outside in this way. And then slowly we start recognizing the placebo effect, which is, the attention directed towards healing. And even just the possibility of this starts removing things. Like, let's say I signed up for a program that's going to help me with something, and there's 3 months for the program to start. And during this 3 months, all kinds of changes are happening. So it's something that we actually run with our brains, right? And once we start recognizing that the placebo effect is coming from me, I'm the one, that is making that change happen just by directing my attention towards that. So we start realizing that it's my thoughts that can be the medicine that cures me. And then further than that, and over here we have lots of methodologies that work on this level of conscious changing. And then core transformation takes us to the next level where external and internal become much more fluid, and a sense of our inner essence where we recognize that there was something that was never broken, something that was never harmed, something that was beyond needing to be fixed or healed, and we can rest as that. And resting as that does not mean that we never ever have any problems again. However, our way of seeing problems change. We don't even want to call them problems because we know there's a gift in there that we can get to. So the whole meaning of problem actually changes in the next level. And I'm having to, yes, move the bar so I can move the page. Thank you for holding with me on that. So the next level is force to no force. So in the early stages of this dimension, we think I have a big problem and it's a really difficult problem and I need a breakthrough method to get me through this. Or we might even be thinking, I am a problem onto myself and to others. So I need a breakthrough to stop being such a hot mess, right? So there is a suggestion that force is needed to get change to happen. And breakthrough methods can work, but they are the result of a significant force on the system. And they run the risk of side effects and reverting back and not sticking, because they often override other things. Like when we're working with one issue, lots of other things can come up. And if we are just ignoring them and going with it anyway, they're going to keep coming up again later, sooner or later. So we don't want to override anything in the system. So the next stage after that is after the major force effects, we get to subtle force effects, force efforts. So there's still an intent to make the system go in a certain direction. It may be subtle and it's harder to notice because it's so internal and subtle, but once we allow them to surface, it turns out they weren't all that really, they seem kind of surprisingly obvious now, because it seems like we had a tight thing in there, intention, that we can now start relaxing. And the next level is where we can get with core transformation, which is a big difference, because it's a fundamental difference, because now we are finding the deepest yearning. We're not imposing anything anymore at all. And instead, we're looking to find and finding the deepest yearning of the system and let that ripple through. However, it happens naturally, and it happens naturally. We just follow the system and what the system's deepest yearnings are. So it's congruent going forward, and it allows for sustainable transformation to happen. So this force to no force dimension, I would like to emphasize that it's an important one as a pivot point, because up until this point, it's a certain stage. And from here on, we're now letting go of this tight grip that we have over relying on the conscious mind after this point, because the conscious mind was never really meant to solve all of our problems as we made it to be. So that's where dysfunction happens. So it's a pivot point in the stages of transformation. So the next stage is overlay over. It's up to this stage, up to here. All stages up to this point are involving overlay versus integration. So you might have overlay a solution on top of a problem and no real integration happens. Or you might create a separation between the problem and the solution. As meditators, we are familiar with this. Sometimes for years that we have in our practice, we have a calm abiding and even blissful states. And we can translate it even maybe to our daily life when things are going smoothly. But once things start going not so smoothly or not quite the way we would like, we're not able to translate that calm abiding and blissful state into daily life. That's a good example of separating the problem and the solution. So the solution works in some domains, but not in other domains. So then we start here, we start getting to integrations, and the earlier stage integrations with most part works are earlier stage integrations where we have part-to-part integrations. So we can integrate two separate structures and make a bigger one. However, it's still separate from the whole. So it's still a separate structure when we're doing part-to-part integration. And what we get with core transformation is the next stage of integration from part to whole. So nothing is left separated, because as we move forward, we're always listening if there's other parts coming on any given issue, and we're involving them so that when we're working with one issue, the issue is resolved with all of the parts that are involved with that issue, and they're all integrated back to the whole until there is no part about that issue anymore. It's a whole now. So then instead of the parts imposing something on the whole, we get much better solutions that come from the whole that work for us. And then we get to outcomes. I think we're all like, we like outcomes so much. Yeah, this is a good one. So first we have a problem and we don't even have an outcome, because more often than not, we're either projecting it outside, like, if my boss was not such a micromanager, I could have a better time at work. Or if my partner was not so lazy, I wouldn't have to work when I come home after work, something like this. But so when we're projecting, we're also putting the solution outside of our, out of our hands. It's out of our hands, so we don't really have an outcome. Or we're either pushing the problem away, or we're running away from it, or we're just ignoring it. So there is no outcome. Then we start thinking of conscious mind outcomes. We can start thinking like, oh, I would like to feel more calm, or I would like to have a better relationship with my spouse. And we can develop strategies. Like, if I learn better communication skills, then I can communicate better with my partner, and I can have better outcomes. This kind of conscious outcomes with the conscious mind. And then we start at later stages. We're beyond setting outcomes with the conscious mind. It's more about accessing the whole that we are. And so we're not looking to find the outcomes from the conscious mind anymore, and letting true outcomes that serve the whole come from the whole naturally. And so that's outcomes. And talk about not being attached to outcomes, right? Yeah. So the next level is identity and beyond. Then if we keep transforming in this way, we get to a level where just changing strategies to navigate life is just not enough anymore. It doesn't do the trick for us, really, and we need a more fundamental change. We need to change who we are. And the first level of identity change has to do with beliefs about who we are. Maybe I think I'm so serious, no, but how could anybody lie? Or I'm so this or that, I'm not like beliefs about who we are and how we think about ourselves and how we see ourselves. That's the first level of identity change. And then with core transformation work, we can go beyond even the identity change. It's not even about who we believe we are anymore, or who we believe we should be. It's more about how we're experiencing ourselves to be. our experience of presence, moment by moment, not even like being in the moment sort of thing, because by the time I can say moment, that moment has already passed. You know, there it's like, how am I going to be in that moment? It's already gone, right? But there is a presence that is carried throughout time. If we have the presence, that carries us throughout time. It's almost like a timelessness because it keeps moving moment by moment. It's a dynamic, not a static. So the next and final stage of transformation is hierarchical to equal. So we start with, in the earlier stages, with up-down relationships, right? The higher person is related to as if they're more important, or you know, they're better, or they have more authority, and the lower person has less. So our solution is being in the up position. Then as we move with our transformations, we start recognizing that the up-down relationships themselves are problems, but we yet don't have a way out. Our only alternative is being in the lower position, and that's just as problematic as the up position. So it's not a solution really. And as we move forward, we start experiencing being equal with everyone, having equal value and worth in the most basic sense. So this doesn't mean that we're the same, right? We are not the same. Thank goodness. That would be boring, but we're not the same, but we are equal. However different we are, we all have the same most basic equal sense. And even beyond that, we start experiencing in the later stages an undivided whole that includes us and everyone and everything. And paradoxically, the more that we experience this undivided whole, the more capable we are of respecting individual autonomy, choice, and responsibility. So that's a beautiful place to be. So thank you for bearing with me. I hope that is, look at what we have covered. We covered the distinction between change and transformation. We covered the 5 keys to self-actualization, being paradox, parts, unconscious mind, positive purpose, deeper purposes. And then we touched upon stages of transformation, directionalizing the unconscious, external to internal, force to no force. And then integration, outcomes, identity and beyond identity, hierarchical to equal. We covered quite a lot of ground. Now I have a question for you. If you discovered that positioning yourself accurately within this map, this whole map, would allow you to align with a path that can take you to the next level, would you be willing to take that step? Please let me know. Put in the chat. Would you be willing to take that next step if you knew that there was a path to take you to the next levels? And have you enjoyed this presentation so far? Have you found it valuable? Have you found some insights? Have you had some insights? Do you now feel more comfortable with your ability to dive deeper? And would using this framework and tools give you an advantage in your progress moving forward? I see. Yes, 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 absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, yes. Now, friends, you can take everything we covered here today and make progress with this learning, and especially with the gift of the self-guiding script I will be giving you. So you can make progress with this learning and tools, going at it with your own resources, time, and effort, and get results in a way that you probably previously would have thought not possible. And if that were your only option, this would certainly be a worthwhile endeavor to pursue. But what if there were another option? An option that allowed us to join forces in your situation? What if you could have me as a trusted partner to guide you within a safe container in an enjoyable way, with all the resources, skills, and tools that are available to me. And I can tell you from personal experience that having a guide, having a skillful guide makes all the difference, because we run into holes and bumps along the way that we're not quite, it helps to have a guide to be certain. That's for sure. So what if I played an active role in your results, took responsibility for your deep transformation and well-being? How would that make things different? And if I had an option as such for you, would you love to hear about it and what it could do for you? Let me tell you what some of my clients have said. It's been over a month and I'm still feeling so good and so light. I love core transformation. It really has made a big difference in my life. And of course, having such a great facilitator. Struggling with a deeply rooted issue for years, I was haunted by a persistent, self-fulfilling prophecy that always seemed to affect me profoundly. The core transformation process is deep and kind, and under the intuitive, graceful, and compassionate guidance of a coach like Tara, it turns into a magically transformative journey. Even as I continue to double-check the transformation within myself, I find that everything has become clearer. Where there was once stubbornness, now there's understanding and tranquility. I'm immensely grateful for your presence and our encounter, Tara. So am I, Thursday. Yeah, as far as what we've worked on, wow, it's been a major shift. I'm so much kinder and more self-compassionate. All feelings are valid. I don't see myself as weak for having any feelings. I don't shame myself or feel guilty. And you know what? It's really upped my pickleball game. A noticeable difference. I don't get stuck in that mindset of being perfect in every play. Beautiful. Awesome. So now it is my pleasure, friends, to invite you to book your spot for a free one-on-one session with me as your next step. So as in this webinar, all I'm offering is another free one-on-one session with me so that we can get to know each other, see if we might have a good fit, and you will have just from this one session, and I will ask Marta to please, if you would, Marta, put the link for booking those sessions. These sessions are free.
Yeah, it's in the chat.
For you. Are they in the chat? Did everyone get it? Yes, I see it. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Yeah, please go to this link and book a free session. In this free session, we will explore this math directly in your life. We will explore what you want and get clarity on priorities. We will explore what's in the way, and we will tackle the obstacles, and we will explore how we can close that gap and come up with a game plan that you love. And even, I will be sending you a questionnaire before the session. Even just filling that questionnaire and then doing this session with me will give you a lot of clarity. And it's for you. It's yours to take. So please go ahead and book your session. And in this session, if together we decide that this is a good fit for you and you might be interested in going further, then I will invite you. If we have a fit, then this is a by invitation only programs that I have prepared for the next 9 months. So in the next 9 months, I will be working with 12 to 16 people maximum. So there will be a cap at maximum 16 people for this invitation-only programs. And I will be working very closely with these people. And I hope maybe some of you might be there. And, we will decide during our reflection session. If you are interested, if you would like to hear about it, then I will invite you to check it out. And you can check it out and decide with that. And I think, yes. Thank you so much, Marta. And so with that, you have now I want to give you my gift before we go on the guided exploration. And Let me see how I'm going to do that. And you can start working with this. This will take you, excuse me. Let's see. Let me get out of here and in here. Okay, so now I can send you this self-guiding gift that you can self-guiding script, which is my gift, and it's amazing. I mean, I've done this, and I have people. I see Virginia who does core transformation. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, yeah. So do it, please, and see how it can start. You know, it's a great start. I'm trying to see everyone. Here we go. And here is the file. Let me know if you have received this, please. Yes, and thank you. Everyone has it? Awesome sauce. Awesome sauce. Great. So yes, you can work with this, and if you want to go much deeper, and even if you don't have any future, plans or anything, just book your session and, enjoy that and take advantage of that, and then we can take it from there. So now I want to guide you a little bit into core transformation. So you have dipped your feet a little bit, and then we can go to Q&A, and I hope to see you, all of your faces, so I can see you actually, instead of being a talking head. Let me see. Stop share. Is there, are you trying to share something? Let me see. This is my chosen path. Virginia, yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Virginia. Yes. Yes, everyone has it. Beautiful, beautiful. So now I want to ask MK, if you would please, you are somehow sharing screen, and I would like to guide you guys through a bit of core transformation and take Q&A next. So please pick something that is mild to medium. Something that is mild to medium, because we don't want to start with a big issue in our first few sessions, because the unconscious parts will not give us access. So it won't take us far. So it's best to start with something mild to medium so we can actually progress from there. So please pick a thought, a feeling, or a behavior that you would like to change. Something like maybe, you get upset when somebody's cutting you on the traffic, or maybe there's somebody in the grocery store. Every time you see them, you get some kind of funny feeling and you wonder what's happening there. Something like that, some annoyance, something. So when you pick this thought, behavior, or feeling, then we can work with this. So next, let's think about when, where, and with whom this comes up for you. This feeling that is different for everyone. And I'm not going to ask what it is, so that everyone can go into their own inner space and we're not interrupting each other. Yeah. So take a moment to relax and turn inward. Once you find when and where, with whom this thing comes up for you, then take a moment to relax and check in where in your body or around your body you have this experience. And guessing is just fine. If it's not coming, easily, you can guess. Yeah. So we're mentally stepping into this situation now that you want to change. Whatever the situation is, and seeing what you saw, hearing what you heard, and feeling what you felt at the time when this was happening. And noticing any internal images, sounds, or feelings that might be coming up. Yeah. And since you didn't consciously generate this feeling, thought, or behavior that you were working with right now, it's as if some part of you generated it. So you may begin to sense this part of you now in your body or around you. And note where you experience this part is located. And then, as we go forward, keep your attention on this location. Wherever this part is showing up, keep your attention there. And even though you don't know what the positive intention of this part is, we know that this part has a positive purpose. It wants something positive. And once we can get to it, it will be a huge resource for you. It wants you to receive this gift, and it will not stop generating problem situations and states until you receive this gift. Because that's its, that's what it's got for you. Yeah. So now thank this part for showing up and for being there, because we know it wants something positive. And then ask this part, what do you want? Just being curious. We don't know. We're just curious. What do you want? Then just relax and notice what response comes back from the location where this part is. Yeah. Just allow something to pop up in your awareness. Yeah. And when it does, thank this part for this response. Everyone will be going on different speeds. So obviously I'm going to be able to just do a general, but it's good to just step and then you can keep doing this. Yeah, so thank the part for response, whatever response that it gave you. And then invite the part to step and breathe into what it is that it wants. Fully and completely, just the way it wants. Yeah, just allow this part to have what it wants already. Yeah, experiencing what it's like to already have it. Yeah, and enjoy, let the part enjoy having this experience, what it's like to already have that, fully and completely. Yeah. And once it's experiencing what it's like to have that, you can ask the part, when you already have this, what do you want through having this that's even deeper or more important? Just relax and notice what response comes back from this part in the location where it is. And when you have a response, you can thank the part and invite the part to step and breathe into what it's like to already have that fully and completely, just the way it wants. And you can remind the part if it's something that it might think it's not possible in the real world, that we're just doing this in the imagination for our process so we can go to the deepest yearnings, because whatever it is, it has a deeper purpose. And the only way we can have access to that is by allowing the part to have what it wants in the imagination. Yeah, and you can go forward just like that. Yeah. Keep thanking the part and inviting it to step into what it's like to already have it. And when you have that experience, when the part has that experience, and we're making sure that the conscious mind is just observing. If it's coming in with ideas and whatnot, you can invite it to just observe and receive benefits just from observing. We listen to the conscious mind so much more than this part. So now is the time we want to hear what this part wants, right? So that's how you keep going, and you can get deeper and deeper with this in this way. Yeah. How is your experience, friends? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. Yeah. Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful process. Yeah. Were you able to get some responses? Yeah, did anyone get some responses? Virginia did. Yeah, Virginia knows how this works. So it gets smoother and faster and more beautiful, deeper as we do it. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions for me or any sharings? Did everyone get a session booked? I'm going to paste the link again here. Please book your session so we can apply this to your life directly. And any questions, any sharings? Does anybody have anything we'd like to share? I'd love to see you and hear you. Please unmute and let me know. Let me see if I can see everyone. Hey, yes. I don't know if I can see everyone. Elisabetta and Anne. I see Virginia and Tosha and Faye. Yay. So friends, does anybody have any questions? Anything they want to share? Thank you. Yes, and thank you. Please book your session. Please book your session, and you have the link, I believe. Book your free session. Yeah. And if we don't have anything, anyone?
I
Yes.
was going to say that this was a little bit different for me because sometimes I get the information that I'm asking for, what do you want that's deeper, as a statement, but working just now with you, I had actual images.
Nice.
First, I started with something that wasn't specific. It was just a body sensation.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a body sensation that I've noticed repeating in my life. So I thought that even though I don't know consciously what it is, that I would choose that to just offer an opportunity for that part to express what it wants.
Yeah.
And so it came as a combination of like going swimming in cool water, fresh
Okay.
water,
Yeah.
and feeling better as a kind of an abstract quality. And then when we asked again, I got a response that was an image that I've had before, and it's a skyfish. And this is a fish whose natural environment is being able to swim in the sky, and it nurses on waterfalls. So it always has access to as much nourishment as it wants. But in this particular case, I got a sense of how that the waterfall also had a massaging quality, that it actually had a invigorating quality, and a sense that the skyfish is part of a big cycle, a bigger picture of how the skyfish and the waterfall and the and the environment fit together. So
Mhm.
that's what happened, and I just thought I'd
Beautiful,
share.
nice, nice,
was
vivid
lovely
imagination.
Lovely
Yeah.
to experience. And I
Yes,
don't know how that will change my direct experience, but I can always go deeper even from the level of freedom. So thank you for your guidance.
yes, thank you. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for trying it on. And yeah, it sounds like there's more places to go with that. It sounds like it hasn't hit the core state yet. Yeah, yeah, beautiful. But we only did a couple of them, and with the group timing being different, it's it's a more challenging to do it that way. And yeah, that sounds great. Thank you, Virginia. Yeah. Does anyone else would like to share or ask anything? Yeah. Do I have anyone here already booked a session with me? While this is the calendar, well, actually, you're going to receive the replay. So the link will be over there, and you will have the replay and the link. So yeah. So then, yeah, if everybody's complete, then we can call it a day. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming, Faye. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Tosha. Yeah.
And thank you for
Yeah.
organizing this.
Yes, yes. I hope you benefit from this learning and experience.
Thank you,
Ongoing.
everyone.
Yeah. Bye.